So I noticed it was really interesting as I was writing about this, because there's certain parts of my book I'm writing about. It's like really fun, right? Like you mentioned in your newsletter this morning, getting into the flow. And I was writing about going on a retreat at a monastery in Oregon and meeting my little World War II vet monk buddy, and it was just like this delightful, mystical, charming experience. And I'm like, this is so great. I'm in the flow of writing. Awesome. It's just going to keep going. And then I get to this section, and it took me a while to realize what was happening, because you think, it's so interesting. We stigmatize these things so much, and we don't believe really like in the unseen world or the spiritual world or the life of the soul or how subtle these energies are. And so that all gets dismissed, right? But it's like I was in the psychic space again of what I went through. I was reliving it. I didn't even really realize it. And then concurrent with that, which was interesting, my husband, who is also a combat veteran and a federal employee, this was happening around the same time the layoffs with the federal government were happening, that all of these positions, and like overnight, like probationary employees gone overnight, locked out of the building, locked out of email, like no chance to say goodbye to colleagues. Like this is happening on a real level, right? And then we don't know if my husband's going to lose his job. He works for Department of Energy. His Western region, they lost 1/3 of their staff. So this is all happening at the same time. And so I started having nightmares again, because I'm writing about this experience of being in the VA and getting vicariously traumatized. This is happening. I was a federal employee for 6 years. So it's not only the trauma aspect of what I was doing, it was the fact that I had been a federal employee. So I could imagine what I was going through and what other federal employees were going through. And then also I had a really hard time after 9/11. I think a lot of people did. I grew up on the East Coast. My brother was in the military, and I'm an empath, so I can't help but feel or imagine what people are feeling. And so this was in a weird way bringing up all of these, it's like they say, when you have a death or a loss, it can bring up previous losses and the grief associated with those. So it was really interesting, though, to me, just to not realize at first what was happening, that the work, and in this case, I think kind of combined what was with what was literally going on in real life, but started to trigger these nightmares. And so I think that's something really for folks to take into consideration if you are writing about your own trauma or difficult things, just to realize it's a spiritual journey, and it can take you back into that place.